can Oregon contain BYU quarterback Jaren Hall? We've seen a lot of you guys in the chat. You've been incredibly active. Appreciate the engagement there. Kind of getting a good feel for where you guys are at, what you guys are interested in ahead of this matchup. And it's gonna be a huge key for Oregon, right? I think that's where the the offense starts for BYU, and I think this is the best overall quarterback that Oregon has faced so far this season. I think that Stetson Bennett has definitely proven a lot of doubters wrong, and is definitely in the conversation as one of the better quarterbacks in the country. I think a lot of people are gonna kind of slight him for the immense amount of skill talent that Georgia has. But he's shown why he's a veteran quarterback, and I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Heisman race, later this season, because he's playing really well, and Georgia is going to be that good of a team. But let's bring it back to Jaren Hall. I think he's a really versatile guy, can really hurt you with his arm or his legs. Definitely takes more deep shots than we saw last week against Eastern Washington from Gunnar Talkington. And with that, I think Oregon has a little bit more of an opportunity to step up in their pass rush and really try to get him to the ground. But DJ Johnson was talking earlier this week how it's kind of a little bit of an extra challenge going up against a guy like Jaren Hall, who can really hurt you with his legs, because just because you beat a tackle doesn't mean that the play is over. You still got to get that guy to the ground. What are some of your early thoughts here, Mark, on Oregon facing off against Jaren Hall?
Yeah, he's definitely the most versatile quarterback that Oregon has faced so far. I mean, Stetson Bennett, no scrub there. He's a national championship quarterback. But I can see why people, or I can see, to your point, why people would say it's like, oh, he's just that good because of all that talent that's on the Georgia team. I disagree. I think he is a really, really good He is a really good quarterback. That also just happens to have a lot of help. And I do think, yeah, he will be in the Heisman conversation. I think if he's not, that is disrespectful to him, especially if he continues to have a good season like he has been. But that's a discussion for another time. Jaren Hall, at least from looking at the stats from this Baylor BYU game, he's a real solid guy. Hurts you with the legs. Averages 2.8 yards for rushing with a long of 13. I'm not and in total got netted 28 yards rushing, gained 41, lost 13 for that total of 28. And then passing wise, 23 of 39 for one touchdown, no interceptions, and a long of 37. So he's a guy that can hurt you with the deep ball, hurt you with his legs too. And Oregon has to get him on the ground. I think definitely what we've seen so far this season from the Ducks, both in that Georgia game and that Eastern Washington game, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, is this is a team that hasn't really been tackling very well, or at least when they have been tackling, it's been a lot of upper body tackles, it's been a lot of arm tackles, and when you're playing against good teams, and we saw this in the Georgia game, when you play against a good team and you're not tackling well, they're going to run all over you. I mean, heck, there was at least one play. There was that one tackle in the Georgia game that basically got turned into a meme pretty much because it was such a bad tackle.
Are you talking about Darnell Washington?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So they're gonna have to sharpen that up without a doubt. And I think that another big takeaway for me after watching Jaren Hall against Baylor, they're going to stretch the field, man. And Dan Lanning talked about that they're one of the better teams that's going to test you vertically. Because Jaren Hall had some really impressive throws into some tight windows against the Baylor Bears. And that's no slouch of a defense. Dave Aranda is one of the better defensive minds in college football. I think he's established himself as that. And BYU was even without some of their top receivers, who we're going to talk about here pretty soon. And Jaren Hall had no problem, distributing the rock. Keanu Hill, Chase Roberts had some really nice grabs, on the sideline, a couple toe taps. So Jaren Hall is a guy who he relies on his legs too much at times, that he had a couple that he tried to throw away that, were ultimately ruled as sacks against Baylor last week. But he can definitely, escape if they, break. He can definitely break contain with some of these edge guys if Oregon isn't careful. And another thing with Jaren Hall, just to comment on his versatility, Mark, they had a double pass in that game, and Jaren Hall had a receiving touchdown. He got the ball on the right side of the field, and then he just had a convoy of Cougars. That's some cool alliteration. Led by Kingsley Suamatai, the former 5-star Oregon offensive lineman, leading the way for him into the end zone. So I think that he's just really athletic. He's not an easy guy to bring down. He's good at keeping his eyes down the field. That's something that Dan Lanning talked about. I think that that's where these dual threat guys can really hurt you, is because you think that they're committed to the run one moment, and then they're still behind the line of scrimmage, and they're able to, hit you with a deep shot down the field. So I feel like this will be the best test for Oregon's front seven from a quarterback standpoint, making sure that they're disciplined, not over pursuing. And then, like Dan Lanning talked about earlier this week, when you have those sack situations, when they're able to capitalize, get that guy on the ground and get some hits on him early. I think that's going to be really important too for this Oregon front seven. Even if you're not getting sacks, you just got to get some hits on that guy to let him know, send that message. It's not going to be easy. And we're going to be here all day. So for Oregon's sake, they're definitely hoping they can be regulars in the backfield this week.
Yeah, they need to get after Jaren. They need to get after Jaren Hall, show some aggressiveness, and be able to send that message clear. And also, I think for Oregon, it's like this is a game that the secondary is going to need to step up. You see the comment from Dennis Hill from Dennis here. That secondary is going to need to that secondary is going to need to step up big in order to make life difficult for Hall down the field if they can lock down some of those wide receivers for BYU. But also, yeah, the front seven's just got to get in Hall's face. They have to be able to capitalize on those opportunities, and they have to finish the plays, because if they don't finish the plays, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. Any final thoughts here on Jaren Hall before we go to our next topic here?
All I can say is just Oregon's got to be ready for him, plain and simple. Is BYU like known as like the national powerhouse that Oregon has been traditionally? Maybe not, but that means you can't. Don't disrespect the quarterback like that, and just be like, oh, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. For Oregon to say it's like, oh, we'll be fine. We're at home. It's not always the case. Not always the case. I think teams have shown in the past is like, if you disrespect them like that, they'll show up and give you a beat down. I don't think this game's going to be a total beat down, but I think Oregon has to be on their toes.